at the post-fight press conference down there. It's still a little noisy, so I wanted to run up here in the stands a little bit, do a quick live video, just give my immediate thoughts. So my immediate thoughts after the decision for the main event, as you can tell I'm hoarse from talking so much, but as I have my chain stuck out here, I thought Golovkin did enough to win. I scored at 115-113 for Golovkin live here, watching it. But I got to say, it was a damn close fight. And I feel that this fight was closer than the first fight last year. And clearly you guys, if you were watching, you saw the difference in game plans for Canelo. In the first fight, he backed up. He went to the ropes a lot, and he simply gave up rounds. He gave up huge chunks of rounds by backing straight up into the ropes, and especially in the middle rounds, he just gave the fight away. Tonight, he did what he said he was going to do. He stood in the center of the ring, and not only did he do that, he marched forward. He pushed Golovkin back, and Canelo applied a lot of pressure. It's totally different body language in this fight. And I noticed early on that Golovkin was huffing and puffing. He was breathing heavy. And the pressure from Canelo was bothering him a little bit. I was surprised. Now, I still think that Golovkin was landing some good counters. But the first half of the fight, you got to give Canelo credit. He changed the dynamic. And I think all three judges had him ahead 4-2 halfway through. I had even halfway through, 3-3. And I thought over the second half of the fight, Golovkin did the better work, particularly in the championship rounds. I thought he won the 12th round. That's why he edged it on my card. But one or two of those swing rounds, which were very close, you give those to Canelo, he wins the fight. So there's a lot of people on Twitter, on social media, calling this a robbery. Guys, it wasn't a robbery. This truly was a very close fight that could have went either way. It really, truly was. The reason that this looks so bad, and the reason why so many people have such a poor taste in their mouth right now, is because of what happened last year. When you have such a terrible decision, last year Golovkin clearly won that fight. Clearly won. It's competitive, but Golovkin won. When you have an injustice like that with such a terrible scorecard, and you follow it up with a fight like this, no matter which way the scorecards went, but particularly if they went against Golovkin like they did tonight, people were going to bitch and moan because collectively, it just looks like the house guy has now won two close competitive fights on the cards. For my money, last year Golovkin clearly won. This year I thought he narrowly eked it out, but I thought a draw was just. And, both times it went, well, most people feel Canelo got the benefit of the doubt last year. This year he got the benefit of the doubt from two judges. So, real quick, undercard. Look, those weren't hard fights to pick, right? I told you guys, Chocolatito, it was set up. Fuentes had been stopped a few times. If Chocolatito was anywhere back to his, never going to be peak form again, but anywhere close to that, he was going to get a stoppage. He got the stoppage. David Lemieux, I said, bet the bank on him once I saw what great shape he was in at the weigh-in. Bet the bank on Lemieux to stop Sullivan. He does. He wins the Canelo Alvarez sweepstakes. They're going to fight in HBO in December, regular HBO. From what I've heard, Canelo still owes HBO a regular HBO non-pay-per-view fight, so that will be David Lemieux in December. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. And then we had Jaime Munguia, set up with Brandon Cook to get a big knockout here for the Mexican fans. So he continues to build up. Main event, though, Gennady Golovkin, I got to say, in the post-fight press conference, first of all, he got 8 stitches for a cut over his right eye. Canelo Alvarez got a few stitches for a cut he had as well. But if you look at both guys' faces, Golovkin took more damage in this fight. He was clearly busted up. You guys saw right after the fight when the cards were announced, the scorecards were announced, he storms out of the ring, refused to do any interviews. In the post-fight press conference, Golovkin looked disappointed. He looked dejected. He looked defeated. He looked upset. He came out here and he answered questions from the media through an interpreter. He didn't answer one question himself. They did it through a Russian interpreter, which I don't understand because Golovkin speaks English. To me, that's just a sign of how disappointed he was. He just didn't want to deal with it. And the body language and some of his responses, and Tiffany shot some of it, so we'll put a video together for you guys on the channel. But his responses and those of Abel Sanchez and even Tom Loeffler, some of his comments, guys, they pretty much admitted that Canelo eked it out, and it was a close fight. Now, of course, Golovkin feels he won, but from what he said, he was like, hey, I got to give Canelo credit. He fought very, very well. He did a great job. Congratulations to Canelo. Abel Sanchez said the same thing. One of the media guys down there asked Abel directly, what do you guys say to your fans, to the Triple G fans, to make them feel better? Because a lot of Triple G fans feel that he got ripped off twice here in Vegas. And Abel Sanchez said straight up, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said straight up, look, we can't bitch and moan every time a decision doesn't go our way. Canelo fought a hell of a fight tonight. We got to give him credit. Maybe next time a close decision will go our way. So that body language says it all, guys, because last year, after what happened, you guys, they were heated. Golovkin was heated, Sanchez was heated, Loeffler was heated. All three of them were very, very clear. They thought they won the fight, and it was an injustice. But tonight, much different body language, much different messaging from them. So I asked Golovkin straight up, and the press conference here, guys, it was a total clusterfuck. Some of the media, just the way this has been handled, it's been all over the place. But I got the first question with Gennady. They didn't give me a mic until I got half the question out, so I don't know if they clearly heard it or not, but I know they heard me. I'm pretty damn confident they did. I asked Gennady and Abel. Here, let me step down a little bit lower here, guys. The cleanup crew is getting closer and closer to me. I can't go for much longer, but I asked Gennady, I asked Abel straight up, where was the body attack? Because after the first fight, everybody talked about the lack of body punches from Golovkin. To me, from what I saw, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have all the CompuBox stuff right now, but from what I saw, Golovkin threw less to the body, landed less to the body. So there was less body punching in this fight. Canelo didn't really throw to the body in the first half of the fight, but in the second half, he went downstairs and varied up the attack. You guys, if you saw my prediction video, I talked about the keys to victory for Golovkin and what he needed to do. He didn't do many of them. He still did enough to win rounds, but the rounds were so close, so close. It's Las Vegas. You got the money guy. He's the A side. Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones Jr., Oscar De La Hoya. We can go back and back and back. That's just how it works in Vegas. If you leave close rounds up to the judges, what did I say before? They're going to go to the boxer, right? Just go back and watch my prediction video. That's what happened tonight. I got to say, though, all three of these judges, very good judges, quality, unbiased judges, and I thought they scored a good fight. And by the way, Tom Loeffler said the same thing. Abel Sanchez, Gennady Golovkin all said the same thing. So you might not agree with the scores. For me, I thought Golovkin edged it. Two judges scored the 12th round for Canelo. Had they scored that 12th round for Golovkin, I think it was Glenn Feldman who scored it correctly for Golovkin. Had the other two, Weisfeld and Moretti, scored it for Golovkin, we would have had a 114-114 unanimous draw. How many of you guys would be bitching about that if that's what we got tonight? I don't know. I feel like whatever way it went, a lot of you guys, and I understand, everyone's going to bitch. And mainly because, again, I will go back to the injustice we saw last year. I will relate this to the Kovalev-Ward fights. Clearly, Ward won the second fight. No shit, right? But because of the injustice, the scorecards in the first fight, it left such a sour taste in people's mouths that when they saw Ward fouling and getting away with it in the rematch, when they saw the scores in the rematch, some of those, I think two of the judges had Andre Ward ahead when a lot of people felt that Kovalev was ahead in that fight before the stoppage. When you set a precedent with a shitty decision in a Vegas fight and you bring the rematch back to Vegas and the ending is controversial and goes against the fighter who got ripped off the first time around, it just leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So you cannot call this decision tonight a robbery. You cannot call it an injustice by any means. It was a very, very close fight that could have went either way. And I know that's a cliche thing to say, but it's absolutely true in this case. You could absolutely make an argument that Golovkin won this fight. You could make an argument that Canelo stole the fight with some flurries and some flashy punches and combinations in some close rounds. So It's not what we saw last year, but because of what we saw last year, it just makes fans upset. So I think that for the next week or so, you're going to see a lot of bitching and moaning on social media. But you're not going to see that much bitching and moaning from Team Golovkin. At least we didn't see it tonight. So their body language tonight tells me all. It tells me everything, guys. This is all highlighted and amplified, too, because it's the biggest fight of the year. It's the biggest event of the year. It got delayed because of the clenbuterol thing, yada, yada, yada. I feel like we've been over this so many times. I feel like there's fatigue from a lot of fans and media just with the damn soap opera. So it wouldn't surprise me. It was close. It was entertaining. By the way, I should say that, right? I haven't even talked about that. The fight itself was really damn good. First half of the fight, very technical, a lot of jabbing. It was all left hand, a lot of feinting. But second half of this fight really, really built. And there was a crescendo there in the championship rounds. That 12th round was outstanding. When was the last time you saw the two best fighters in the division in a fight, such a high-profile fight like this, peak in the 12th round? That's what we saw tonight. So a really, really good fight in justifiable scorecards, okay? You guys crying robbery need to stop with that shit. On the surface, you would think these two do it again in May. They do it for a third time in May. There's no bigger fight in boxing in terms of making money. And yes, I'm including Joshua Wilder in that. Joshua Wilder doesn't make anywhere near the money this fight tonight made. But I think they're going to go their separate ways, man. I think that David Lemieux, with his performance tonight, he won the Canelo sweepstakes. He's going to fight Canelo on regular HBO in December. And as long as Golovkin can heal up some of the facial injuries and all that, it wouldn't surprise me if he fights Ryota Murata over in the Tokyo Dome in Japan on New Year's Eve. So I think that's what we're going to see next. Now, if they're both successful in those fights, which would be on regular HBO, that'd really save HBO's ass because they're having a terrible year. Perhaps they do a third fight, but it would not surprise me if these guys go their separate ways next year. A third fight can always happen down the line, guys. How many times do we see that in boxing? Two guys finally do a rubber match years later, right? That could happen as well. So there's a lot of questions out there right now, man. Of course, for Canelo, who inherits all these titles, he also inherits all the mandatories. Technically speaking, he's got Charlo to worry about. Murata has a piece of the WBA. So he's got a lot of business to take care of. It's actually Golovkin who's a little more freed up and has a little more options. Does Gennady want to go after the belt that was taken from him by the IBF? Does he want to go after the WBO title? Remember, if Saunders wins his WBO title defense coming up, Golovkin had a backup deal with him if this rematch with Canelo didn't come together. So they had a deal. So both guys got crazy, crazy options. And I think what we saw tonight is that they're still the two best middleweights in the world. Right now, you got to rate Canelo as the champ. He's the middleweight champ. He's the number one middleweight in the world. Golovkin's number two. Right there, 1 and 2. But I think visibly what we saw today, Golovkin has slowed down. So, all right, I'm going to start. I'm going to wrap it up. 60 more seconds. What we saw tonight is Golovkin, he's missed a step. He's lost a step. I mean, that's just what I saw. Him huffing and puffing, him getting busted up, not having the same steam on the jab and all that he had before, not shooting the right hand as much, not shooting the body shots. When he shot some uppercuts, he had success, but it just wasn't the same, man. He's not the same guy he was a few years ago. So the strategy of an A-side fighter waiting out a bigger, stronger guy that's a real threat has worked again. We've seen Sugar Ray Leonard do this. We've seen Floyd Mayweather do this. We've seen other fighters in the past do this and learn from others before them. And that's what Canelo has done with Golovkin, man. I feel that, he waited him out a little bit. This rematch got delayed. And Golovkin looked a little bit older tonight. And Canelo took advantage of that. So how'd you score it? We're live.
Done with boxing now.
Yeah, she's pissed off. You're
I'm mad.
I told Tiff, This was a close fight. Could have went either way. I don't know. A lot of people are pissed off about the decision, but and look, to be clear, I'm going to make it clear again. I thought that Golovkin won 115, 113. That's the score I had. But you can't call this a robbery, and you can't say that the scorecards are horrible. They weren't. They were justifiable scorecards. It's justifiable that there are people out here who can see that Canelo won the fight. So you guys, you got to accept it, and we'll see what happens from here. But in my opinion, the house guy got the benefit of the doubt 2 times in a row. Fought a better fight tonight. Canelo fought the fight of his life. And I tell you, if he fights with this style from here on out, I don't know who's going to beat him. I don't know. Because how do you deal with that? For a guy like Charlo to beat Canelo, he needs distance. He needs range. He needs separation so he could get length and leverage on his punches. Canelo gets in his ass the way he got in Golovkin's ass tonight. Charlo can't knock him out. He can't do anything. So if he fights like this from here on out, I don't know who the hell beats Canelo at 160 other than Gennady Golovkin. Let me know what you guys think, man. TNC this week, we'll do a whole review, so make sure you guys check that out. See you at the fights.